What's one thing your mom doesn't know about you? My handwriting was so bad when I was in middle school that she would help me write if she saw me struggling, so I practiced writing her name near her so she would sign her signature on a piece of paper and I traced it on a detention slip lol. Fun fact. Forging your parents' signature on any academic documents is illegal and there is a law for that. But taking pictures of the Eiffel Tower at night is also illegal and no one enforces that. So oh well. Everything since 2012. Since 1994. Here. Or, depending on what happens after this. She might know absolutely everything. Yikes. But when she was still here. She didn't know I once snuck out of the house late one school night while she was sleeping and drove to my BF's because he wasn't answering his phone. I cringe at the thought I ever did this. That I'm a sexual assault survivor. Sorry that happened to you. When I told it kind of exploded on me. I'd been slowly dealing with it privately since I was 6, but when I told my family was taken by surprise and my dad blamed himself for not protecting me. The blame they placed on themselves was rough to see and made me feel bad for telling it all. Thankfully we are all doing much better now. I farted at her and my dad's vow renewal. It was one of those farts where the entire room took notice and started gagging. Someone else got blamed for it and I never corrected anyone and admitted that it was actually me. I'm bisexual. At least I don't think she knows. I was convinced my mom thought I was straight. I even fake dated a guy to drive the point home. Apparently she's known the whole time and that's part of the reason she had us move to Vermont. I guess I was really obvious or something. I don't really tell my therapist about all the abusive things she does. I just say I do so she'll stop doing them because she feels embarrassed other people know what she does in the home. Ups. I was being abused by my kindergarten teacher. I am so sorry. That is terrible that happened to you. May I ask if you know if the teacher is still teaching or works around children? Why I'm still single? I don't know. Mom. Jeez. I just feel bad telling her I'm not attractive enough. Like. I know she'd be sad for me. Plus, she's like 50% responsible for how I look. So that'd probably also be kinda insulting. That I nearly lost my job in March but COVID actually spun me into keeping my job and the benefit of working from home indefinitely. That I had my heart broken once again. That I feel very lonely. That my depression was the worst it has ever been in July and that I have finally found a medication that is helping. That there is a Marilyn Manson song now that my dad and I both are convinced that even she would like. That I miss her more than I ever thought possible. That I'm sorry for being upset with her last year on the 20th of November and I've been having nightmares for weeks now where she hates me so much she won't even speak to me. Saturday will make it a full year since I lost my mom and my best friend in this entire world. There are so many things I want to share with her and so many things I want her advice on. My mom knew everything about me up until a year ago. I missed my grandmother's funeral because I was locked up facing 10 years for armed robbery. That I bang her best friend when I go and help move furniture. What I am to my mom is a personality tailored to her needs. What I am actually is a polar opposite of that person. So I'd say she doesn't know anything. I try to maintain the same thing but sometimes I can't help me coming out of the box. I hate my life. That I got fired from a job after they discovered I was stealing snacks. Gas station. It was dumb. But it racked up about $350 worth of unpaid food over the course of 2 months. The fact that my boss decided not to press charges and to give me a second chance was a life lesson and I never, ever did that again. However, I don't ever want my mom or dad to find out. That I've had a side gig in adult entertainment for years. None of my family members know. But all of my friends do. I am trans and pansexual and don't believe in Jesus. That I technically lost my virginity to her dildo when I was 11-12. How dysfunctional I am. I know I need to do something. Tell myself to do it screaming in my head but I keep playing on my phone while things pile up. therapist is helping me through it. That and how much blame I put on my stepdad for a lot of shit, but therapist is helping with that too. That a dude was jerking it outside my apartment window in the middle of a January night. I called the cops and testified in court that the dude in front of me was, indeed, the chili dog wanker. Apparently he had a history of this. I cut classes. I just play games on my phone or computer and shit during classes so that my teacher thinks I'm present. Otherwise, my mother gets a message regarding my absence. Stroke. That I've tried cocaine. My mom caught me doing coke and in a semi-asleep daze told me that better not be meth and went back to bed. She doesn't know I got to go to grad school. Lived for 2 years in an RV. That I retired from the army. Taught for 4 years traveling around in my camper with my family. She died in 2007. Apparently, a lot of stuff. First, she doesn't believe I like girls. Second, knowing me, I'll stay where I am at my job. Fourth, I have plans. I'm not dumb. Third, she doesn't really trust me with my friends for some reason, and I think it had something to do with how I used to be clingy to my friends. Lastly, she's surprised when I handle a social interaction without being cringe. I've grown. I'm not a child. I am at heart. But I know how to handle real world. I'm not like my father either. He stayed where he was at his job because he was comfortable. I'm pushing to get higher at my job. I have plans if this plan doesn't work. I am actively working on becoming better. If I was comfortable in my position, I wouldn't try so hard. Sorry for the rant. But I guess I have pent up emotions about this and I have to talk it out. Thank you for reading. My mom doesn't know that I'm bisexual and I have known for 8 years. I've never felt comfortable coming out to anyone in my family due to being raised super conservative Christian. I've only told 5 people. It sucks not being able to talk to her about this, especially since I tell her everything. She's my best friend. The night I got blackout drunk and she picked me up, I was raped. She was so furious she had to pick me up. I never wanted to bring it up again. I pick up on strong moods. One year she and my dad sat me and my younger sisters down and said that they might separate. They didn't. My mom was stressed. My dad was mad. One of my younger sisters was sad. And the other was a mix of confusion and sadness. I felt it all. It f***ing hurt. I am pretty sure that my mom doesn't know that I and my sister were sexually abused by her brother-in-law. My sister and I decided never to tell our parents because it would crush our mom and my dad would have gone to jail for killing his brother. My uncle still lives with my grandmother. He's in his 50s and is in constant pain from a back problem and is incontinent. So I don't think sending him to jail was necessary. That I have a motorcycle. She told me that she would cry if I got one. Within a year of moving out of the house I've gotten 2 bikes. Hope she never finds out. I did that in college. When my parents came up to pick me up, it was parked outside. The next day my dad asked how I was going to get it home and I told him ride it home. It was a 6-hour ride in the rain and my dad said lose us on the first turn. I don't need your mom breaking her neck looking for you behind us, sis. That I'm gay. I have a friend online. And I've known them for 1 year. And they have known I'm gay for that entire year. It's kind of sad how I'm able to be more open with people I haven't been friends for a while compared to my own mother, who I cannot tell pretty much anything. That I know I was born through a surrogacy. A fact she still pretends isn't true. The pictures she uses as proof she was pregnant was from a previous late-term miscarriage. That the only reason I like going to church is because I have a crush on a guy who goes there. She thinks I love going there to make friends and to be with God. In reality I just find it really boring. I'm sure my grandma feeds her a lot of info about me and my family. But I deleted my grandma off mine and my husband's FB and my grandma won't talk to me. So she doesn't know anything about me at all since about September. In 2009 my mom told me not to talk to her ever again and I about haven't. We had a very awkward telephone conversation about a year ago and she hasn't tried to talk to me since. Whatever. I've got my own family. I'm going to go hug my kids and tell them I love them. It's fine. I grew psychedelic mushrooms in my bedroom closet as a teenager. More that she doesn't acknowledge. Rather than doesn't know. I've stated this repeatedly. So have my sister. Bill. Sons. And ex. I think my older brother is a dick. He is a negative. Egotistical. Entitled. Winnie 60-year-old baby. But. He is her precious boy. Her firstborn. So therefore perfection. That I am divorced and remarried. She has advanced dementia and hasn't really recognized me for about 5 years. My mom doesn't know that the trip I took to San Diego wasn't with my friend and her family. I met a couple online and spent the weekend with them. I drove 5 hours to LA to meet the guy. Then we took an Uber to the bus station that was 20 minutes away. We took a bus all the way up to Oakland where his GF picked us up. Weekend was decent, I guess. He cheated in the past. They were so not ready to add another person. Then at the last minute, he decided he wanted to stay longer. So I got on the 8-hour bus ride home by myself. Didn't get back to LA until 1 AM. Then had to call an Uber and waited 20 minutes. Was dropped off at his house to get my car. Only to speed home to make it home by 2:15 AM so I could sleep for a few hours before going to work at 6 AM. Didn't sleep cause my mom was upset that I got home so late. 2/10. Would not recommend. I have had suicidal thoughts since I was a teenager. Closing in on 30 now. Her diary was wide open either intentionally or unintentionally one day, so I read it. And she confessed to having suicidal thoughts. Granted, this was after my dad died. And neither of us were handling it well. Which leads me to think my poor fam has unaddressed mental health problems that have been passed down and we're all just stuffing them because we don't want to be a bother. The money I loaned her a few years ago would completely wipe out the debt I'm in that she doesn't know about. I played hooky and ditched my last period class in high school. Then I intercepted the automated phone call from the school when I got home. In an even stranger twist of luck, I found out from my classmate that we had a sub that day, so I lied and told the teacher the sub must have missed me on roll call when he asked later. Since I started a relationship with a woman my mother doesn't get along with, I think my mom doesn't actually know how much I love her or value her in my life. It's making me really sad. Because I can tell she's upset and thinks I don't care. But she doesn't seem to believe me when I tell her how I feel. When I was a young teen I would get so angry about my ADHD and my struggle with a trauma I had and come forward about that I would hit myself repeatedly with a metal ruler. I didn't address the trauma until a year after my oldest son was born. As a parent my heart breaks for little me and she can't take it back, so I don't think I'll ever tell her the private turmoil I went through. I've always been outwardly happy and nobody could have known because I never let anyone see how it was. Just how close I came to downing all of the blood thinners I take. And walking out into the road in front of a semi. Full stop. Full stop. And X200B. This was many years ago. And thankfully I never even got to the take all the pills step before regaining some sense. I ironically don't fear death by any means, all it takes is a specific horror story to FCK me up. Probably because my father told these stories to me when I was 5 and scared of my own F-King shadow. My big book of sexual experience. And drug dependency. There's way more than just one thing. I was raised by my grandparents. My mum never really got me. I'm not sure if she could tell you any of my hobbies or interests or any of the names of my friends. When I was at daycare when I was 4 or so, I pushed the merry-go-round while some other kids were on it because that's what you're supposed to do with a merry-go-round. But apparently those kids didn't want to be pushed, so I got put in timeout for the first time ever. I was so afraid of my parents finding out, even though they wouldn't have done anything bad to me. And then so mad afraid of the teacher who put me in timeout. That I refused to go to daycare for a while. My parents had to take me to several doctors before I fessed up that I had been pinched by a clipboard and was scared about that. They believed that. And even brought it up years later. I have no reason not to tell them now. But still won't. This was like 20 years ago now. But I'm pretty sure this is the cause of all my anxiety issues. Miss Nicole. This was all your fault. I used to have a sugar daddy when I was a teenager. And that's how I was able to buy that $900 piano my siblings really wanted. I wasn't actually budgeting my $50 month allowance for God knows how long. My parents are super conservative and think I'm too shy and reserved to even get a boyfriend, which ain't exactly wrong lol, so I'll probably be taking this secret to the grave. No regrets. Though. I had an abortion at 17. That my dad was abusive towards me. He was abusive toward her, but they got divorced very early in my life and I didn't end up spending time with him until around 5. He always made me feel guilty to tell her, so I never did. She also had no clue just how often I skipped school and snuck out. She knew I did those things but nowhere near the excess amount of times. Also, now that she's passed, she doesn't know I have a daughter that asks about her all the time and wishes she could have met her. I don't believe in heaven. It's a weird thing, but somehow I think of her being able to see how much I got from her and how to raise my kid. I still talk to her to check in and tell her how much I love and miss her. I wish she was still here so I could have some way to get out of my own abusive marriage. She doesn't know anything about me cause she died. She'll never meet her beautiful granddaughters. Or see my siblings and I get older ourselves. She won't see us succeed or fail. She won't meet my future wife. She'll never know what my favorite songs are. What my new favorite movies are. Alcoholism is a life-destroying disease and it stole my mom from me. But a fun one is she didn't know I f***ing hated Cheetos. She thought Cheetos were my favorite snack food ever and would get them for me all the time. I didn't want to hurt her feelings, so I'd thank her and eat the whole damn bag. That I haven't returned home in a year because she caused me to be overstressed and anxious and ended with self-entitlement by thinking I was gonna give her my truck I planned to buy. When I left my house from mental and physical abuse at the age of 17. Still a senior in high school, I had a PT job and pushed it to full-time. Being a waitress, I was pretty much homeless. I would steal grocery meats and some easy cans of food to survive. I am not proud of it. But it was that or going back home where I knew I would get beaten the hell. My counselors noticed I was quite exhausted. And sometimes wore the same clothing that they asked me if everything was okay. And I told them the truth. Then one day, they surprised me by paying my prom ticket. Bought me a dress. Bought my BF, now ex-husband, tux. Took me to a spa to get my hair done that I couldn't be grateful. Thanks to all my teachers and counselor, I am very glad I left home because it was non-stop from beatings from my mother. BC I had a boyfriend. Non-stop of being name calling and mentally abused. And even though I struggled like hell, it taught me to grow up and work hard and become more successful than my family was. We now talk, but that's one thing my family will never know.